Hello, hello, and welcome to another webinar. This time we're going to talk about self acceptance. Hello and welcome. My name is Magdalena Bednarek. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I have masters in acupuncture and herbs. I am also a certified health coach in recall healing, which is a branch of German New Medicine. I am absolutely fascinated by how our mind works, how it is connected with the body, how it is connected with the soul, how the body finds its own balance. And this is my line of work. And today we are going to discuss something super important. We're going to talk about self acceptance. Why are we talking about self acceptance? Without self acceptance, there can be no self love. If we don't have self love, if our love bucket is empty, how can we give it? How can we share it? Think about it. You can only share that which you already have. Without accepting who we truly are on a deeper level, we are unable to find the love for our being, for who we really are, for the authentic self. So, I want to talk to you about self acceptance and why it is so crucial. Well, your emotional well being depends on your self acceptance, whether you have it or not. It is very difficult to regulate your emotions if there is no self acceptance. It impacts your resilience. Do you find yourself being offended often, upset, angry? That could be one of the reasons. It takes away your authenticity. The lack of self acceptance takes away your authenticity. You usually pretend to be someone else because you don't accept who you truly are, and there are reasons for that. It also improves your relationships. So, the most important relationship you have in your life is with yourself. So, if that relationship is all good, all the other relationships will show that because it's a reflection of who you are. It improves, it motivates you for growth. Meaning, if you accept yourself, you understand that there's always room for improvement and you want to naturally grow. This is our human nature. We have been made to grow, to evolve, to surpass wherever we are. And it also, strong self-acceptance allows us to stop comparing ourselves to others. And in our world, we do that quite a lot. Us ladies, especially, we see someone on the internet, on the TV, and we always compare because our mind has those compartments and it places everyone according to what they look like, what they are like. So we already know whether or not that person is prettier than me, funnier than me, smarter than me. But guess what? It doesn't matter because you're supposed to only compare yourself to you from yesterday. That's the only logical and constructional comparison. So let's start with the presentation. And I want to thank you for being here, guys, because I know we all are looking to improve our current state, all of us, no exceptions, and that is wonderful. I do need to mention a medical disclaimer. This is not a medical advice. It does not replace therapy. Please understand that. This is not a medical diagnosis. I do encourage you, if you have issues, to seek professional help. This webinar is for educational purposes only, as I share with you what I've learned and I share with you my experience. And everything happens for a reason. And I want you to get a better understanding of what it is that I'm trying to convey to you. Our world has been designed so that we all learn. There isn't a thing that happens out of nowhere, that it hasn't been designed in the quantum field. Everything has a reason, meaning there's no accidents, there's no coincidences, there's no mistakes. The energy of the godlike creation does not make a mistake. Now, the issue that we humans have with this is that we never look for the lesson. In every bad situation, in every challenging situation, we don't look for the lesson. What do we do instead? We concentrate, we focus on the misery. Why is this happening to me? Oh, why is it always me? Why can't I get a break? Why does she get to be from a rich family and I don't? Why did my car break and not somebody else's? Why is this happening to me? So what are we concentrating on? The negativity, right? And guess what we get in life? We get what we concentrate on. So to change that around, to refocus, we're going to learn later on how to ask the correct questions. But I want you to keep that perspective in mind. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to change your personal core beliefs. But I want you to have an open mind and to entertain a thought that, hey, maybe she's right. Maybe everything does have a reason and I just don't know my lesson, or I'm not looking for my lesson. This is why the situation keeps on repeating over and over again. So let's continue. Okay, we have to get through definitions. You guys know that I love all aspects. I love the Western medicine aspect. I love the energetical aspect, and I love the emotional aspect. But we need to have a logical explanation. So the definitions of self-acceptance by Cambridge Dictionary, it says, ability to accept yourself as you are, including your faults. I actually like that. APA Dictionary of Psychology, a relatively objective sense of recognition of one's abilities and achievements, together with acknowledgement and acceptance of one's limitations. And then Merriam-Webster says, act of state of understanding and recognizing one's own abilities and limitations. All of those definitions basically say that this is your ability to know yourself, the depth to which you know yourself, you recognize yourself on the objective level. So it makes a lot of logical sense to me right now. Now, the acceptance, the definition of acceptance is the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. And it's the action or process of being received as adequate or suitable, typically to be admitted into a group, social group, family group, community, all of it. How I lost my acceptance, because this is a very personal story for me and I want to share it with you because I think we all have our own personal stories. Depends on where we were raised, how we were raised, what kind of traumas did our parents or grandparents, as in my case, were carrying and passing them on. So when I was a little girl, I learned very early conditional love. And that was my lesson. That was one of the lessons in which I came here to this earth as an incarnation, to learn unconditional love. But in order to learn unconditional love, in order to learn unconditional love, I had to learn conditional love. And so it's not that I was treated as an adequate person, an adequate child in my family, but I remember I always brought shame to my grandmother. And my grandmother was my main caretaker because my mother was working and she took it upon herself to be the hero, the martyr, to, take care of her grandchildren. And and my memory is almost flawless. I remember everything since I was 4. I remember a lot from even before that. But I remember her saying, "You shamed me." And what I did was I fell down and got my outfit dirty, or I climbed a tree, or I spilled ice cream on me, or something else. And I was a very clumsy child. So I would shame her almost daily. And she would always say that I'm such an embarrassment. And whenever I tried to express who I really was, as every child should, because as children, we are allowed to have our own emotions. whenever I was angry as a child or sad or just acting up or being curious about the world, it was always good girls don't cry. Good girls don't get angry. Good girls don't climb fences. Good girls are just quiet and clean and don't do anything and pretend they don't exist. Then they're accepted. So I have learned that in order to be accepted and loved, I have to be this good girl that they talk about all the time, right? Because I want to be included within my family, within the family of my origin. And this is how I lost my authenticity and I became a chronic people's pleaser because I didn't know that I was sacrificing who I was in order to be accepted. That was the only way for me to survive as a child. Also, that was the only way for me to learn all the lessons that I came here to learn because my journey was to come back to who I really am. And as I love this quote by Robert Schwartz, who says that in order to find out who you truly are, first you must be who you are not. And I was someone else for most of my adult life. I am 44 today, and I am just rediscovering who I truly am. And it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. I didn't know that I'm such an amazing creature on the inside, but that's because the programs, the beliefs, they ran the show. I was just there for the ride, but I had no control. And this is what happens to us when we are unaware of our beliefs. Because everything became my belief that I have to be a certain way or I will not be accepted. The validation from the outside is more important than what I think about myself. And I have to become someone else. This is how I started smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, because I wanted to belong to the groups that I was hanging out with, which was quite destructive for me. And it's in the past, but it made me do things that I wouldn't necessarily do on a regular basis. In reality, I am a person who is very quiet and loves to spend evenings at home reading a book. I'm a book nerd. For those of you who know me, you know that I have a book in every room. It's not that I'm addicted, it's who I am. I love information. I absolutely love finding out different perspectives. And there's so many books, so many experiences of people that we can learn in order to help ourselves and help others, that to me, it's just fascinating. It's who I am. But it wasn't cool when I was 20. Nobody liked this girl who would sit at home, go to the library twice a week and just, wanted to discuss books. That wasn't fun. I was fun when I was drunk, yelling, dancing, and being a people's pleaser, changing my mood to accommodate everyone around me so they like me. But that wasn't me. And my body started rebelling very early. My body was sending me signals that this is not you, but I couldn't read them. I didn't understand that our body communicates with us in such a profound way. So this is my story, and depending on your story, depending on where you grew up with, it could have looked different. But you may find it hard today that you do not accept yourself as much as you would like to. Let's talk about the inner critic and low self-worth. So inner critic is a voice. We all have this voice. We point to the brain when we say the mind, which is mind-blowing because the mind is everywhere else. But it is connected through the brain to the body. Now, the voice of the inner critic, that's the voice when you wake up, you look in the mirror and you see all your flaws. You see your love handles, your belly, your wrinkles, your scars, your everything that is not supposed to be there, or in your mind, it's not supposed to be there, and you hate it. And the inner critic is on the roll. Oh, you look terrible. Oh, look at you. You're a pig. Oh, you're so ugly. Ugh. It's not your voice. I want you to know right now, this is not your voice. You were not born with it. You acquired it through upbringing. And it could have come from many different places, even from TV, even from watching a show, even because we, as children, we learned when we watch the shows and we imitate. So it could have been something that you learned. Maybe you saw a show about someone who was very criticizing and the voice just automatically turned on. It could have been your mother, it could have been your father, it could have been that aunt that you see on family occasions that always has something bad to say about you. You know, do you have that one of those people in your family that whenever they see you, like once a year for Christmas, they will always say like, oh, you gained some weight. Oh, I heard you lost a job. Oh, I heard you got divorced. There's always that one, right? And that also could have impacted the voice in your mind. So I want you to know that inner critic is there. It will always be there, just like your inner protection voice. It's also there. That tells you to be careful of and scans the room all the time. This is a part of us. Now, it's impossible to delete this voice, but it is possible to dim it. Once you become who you really are, that voice doesn't matter. It just doesn't. Like, I have it in my head. It could point out to multiple things that is wrong with me that would like it to be better, but it doesn't matter because the voice knows that my love bucket is filled and I accept myself the way I am today. Even though my form is not my perfect form and I can do better and I can improve myself, but I do not live in a future, which we will talk about, because the future is happening right now. I create it and I'm doing everything in my power to get to where I want to be because I have a definition of who I am. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go along. So yes, say hi to your inner critic. You can give it a name. I named mine Chester. Yes, that's the voice. It could be, whatever name you wanted to give, but recognize that it's there and also recognize it's not you. And then try to be aware when it comes up to tell it, you're lying. I love myself the way I am. It's not true. You're not a part of me. You're just a learned program. And in the truth, it is. Self-worth versus self-acceptance. So we're going to talk about conditional versus unconditional aspects. Self-worth, as it seems, is connected to self-reliance. It is based on what we can and cannot do, and we learn it also in childhood. And for many of us who were judged or loved by what grades we brought home, it was impacted. And I was only loved when I had A's, maybe B's sometimes. But when I had a D or an F, I would receive silent treatment. So my self-worth growing up was very low and I became this perfectionist, even being in medical grad school. If I didn't get an A, I was very upset with myself. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm a perfectionist. It doesn't matter what grade I get as long as I learn the material. But I would beat myself up and the critic would be like, you're so stupid. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm in medical grad school and I understand it. And I got a B just because I was surprised by a question or I was stressed or whatever the reason was. But I realized that that's where I place my self-worth. And that's also not something natural, but it's something that I grew up with. And many of us had this kind of upbringing that the parents would be so proud and so good to us when we brought good grades. Can you love your kids no matter what grades they bring? I never brag about my children's grades because that's not who they are. I love my children for who they are and not what they do. I love everything they do, but it doesn't matter to me what they do. It doesn't. They're just such amazing people that's enough. So self-worth is based on the conditions, meaning what success did you have in life and how that impacts what you think of yourself. And believe me, you are successful. Sometimes we don't see the little things as successes, and they are. Sometimes just getting through a really tough day is a major success. And what I like to do every morning when I wake up, I always say thank you before I even open my eyes. I say thank you for another day. And I say to myself, I declare this day to be a completely successful day. And I'm going to witness a miracle, followed by a miracle, followed by a miracle. This is the mindset that I wake up with. Because it doesn't matter what's going to happen to me. It could be a very easy day where I accomplish a lot, or it could be one of those hard days where it's up the hill battle and then I have emotional distress and it's just really hard. But I want to always remind myself that I got here. I got here to where I am right now. And I'm so proud of all of my accomplishments. And that's enough. So self-acceptance, though, now that's something I want you to pay attention to. Self-acceptance is unconditional. I want you to imagine yourself alone on an island. There's no family, there's no people, it's just you. It's just you forever and ever. There's nobody. You have enough food, you have enough water, but it's just you. Are you going to be devastated? Or are you going to be okay because you accept yourself? That's my friends, that is the art of self-acceptance. If you can imagine being all alone, nobody cares for you, everybody left you, but you're still okay. I knew that I've learned my self-acceptance when the day came and I was all alone, and I had a blast because I could read and I could write and I could do all the things that I love to do that I never get to have time for, because when you like to read, there's never enough time. So I realized then that, wow, I love me for who I am. It doesn't matter what I do. I will never be bored. I will never be craving company of people. I like company of people, but it's not a requisite. It's not required for me to truly find joy in life, joy in being me. When you can find joy in being you, that's when you know you found your self-acceptance. That's the moment. That's the moment when your love bucket starts to fill. When you fill it, you can call it a love bucket, a love resources. We all have our own. When you fill it, that's when you can really share it. It took me a while. It took me a while, and my love bucket was always empty, and I was running on fumes, and I was exhausted trying to be the best mom that I can for my children, trying to save my marriage, trying to be the best daughter, the best sister. I was running on fumes. It was a recipe for disaster because my love bucket was empty, because I never, ever prioritized myself. And when you love yourself, you will notice that you are the most important. Because if your bucket is empty, if your cup is empty, how you're going to pour out of it? And this is what happens to many women that I meet. We are so exhausted, but we always prioritize others versus ourselves. Okay, I want you to know that self-acceptance does not come from the outside. It doesn't come from the way you look. It is not your monetary possessions, and it is not your followers or your friends or anything on the outside. Is it easier to accept yourself when you love the way you look? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have this wonderful experience where I gained a lot of weight in the past. Every pregnancy, I gained over 80 pounds, and then I lost it all within a year. So I have experience of being extremely obese, 215 pounds, and then I would go back down to 135 at the time. So I had the two views of the spectrum, and it was much easier for me to love myself, to accept myself when I was on the healthy range within, because beauty is health. When we look at a person and we consider them beautiful, we're actually looking at their health. Their health manifests as their beauty. We're looking at a person. We're thinking, we're seeing, oh, she's attractive, she's really nice looking, really good looking, she's beautiful. But what we are really noticing is the health of that person. Yes, muscles are healthy, unfortunately, and we lose them, guys. So we do need to work on them. Us women, when we turn 30, we lose 0.5% of muscle every year. as we get older. So it's imperative for us to stay healthy, to stay beautiful. That's prerequisite, but it is not required. And if you're going to wait to accept yourself and love yourself when you lose weight in the future, it's not going to happen. The future is now. The future doesn't exist per se. Everything is happening now. And we're going to talk about how your body reflects what you think. And if you think you're going to accept yourself when you make $1,000,000, you won't. Because again, we're talking about something happening in the future. Unless we take time to be here and now. Also, if you think that you're going to accept yourself when you find that dream partner, when you get a dream job, when you have children, when you buy that house, when you get that dog, nothing from the outside can make you accept yourself for who you are. Again, remember when I talked about the metaphor of an island? If you can imagine yourself on an island all alone with nobody inside and still enjoy your own company, that's self-acceptance. And I know it's hard for you to imagine because when we're raised in communities, which are wonderful, but we are raised to be addicted to people, to be addicted to the validation of people, of who we are. And that comes from the lack of knowing ourselves, which we will also address because it's very, very important. So in a relationship, we have to talk about tolerance versus acceptance. So tolerance is enduring or putting up with differences, versus acceptance is embracing and valuing those differences with an open heart. So in a relationship, you basically either endure or embrace. I endured for so many years, but that's not because of somebody from the outside, but because I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know myself or my standards or my needs. If you can name your needs, you can communicate them, and then you know right away whether or not you are in the right relationship, whether your needs are met or not. So this is your choice, but we have to understand the difference. So acceptance is, oh my God, this person, his hobbies are totally and passions are totally different than mine, but I accept him because he's passionate about what he's doing, but it has nothing to do with what I'm doing. And they're a completely different person, but I accept them. Tolerance, on the other hand, is, yeah, I hate when they do that, but they do it, but I'm just being nice, so I don't say anything. That's lack of boundaries. Questions. There's going to be a lot of questions throughout this webinar for you. And if you would like to, I highly encourage you to journal. Do I know myself? Both bad and good parts. I want you to keep in mind, we are all yin and yang. We're not supposed to be saints. We're supposed to be aware, but we all have good and bad parts. Do I like myself? Both good and bad parts, because self-acceptance, it's not just, oh, I accept myself because I help people, because I'm resourceful, because I can cook good, because I'm just a joyful person. I'm also very demanding, very strict, very organized. And I am almost obsessed with health. So there's a lot of things about me that are not good for others. But I don't care. I accept them all because it makes me who I am. I love where I am right now in my life, and it's just me. Next question. Do I like to spend time by myself? Again, think of that island metaphor. Would I date myself? Think about it. That's something to journal. What can I do today to improve my well-being? Everything starts today, guys, right now. You are listening to this right now, meaning you are doing something to improve your well-being in the future. You are actually creating your future right now by gaining more knowledge, more information in order for you to thrive. I congratulate you because this is an investment. Currently, you are investing your time and your energy into your own well-being because you want that improvement. And I don't blame you. You guys, my whole life, we can say, has been a struggle. It has been a struggle until I discovered who I really am. And I really accepted who I am. And my whole life just changed. Every aspect, like You have no idea. 2025 was probably the year of the biggest changes for everything in my life, as you know, for those of you who follow me on Instagram. So I want you to know emotions are good. Anger means someone's crossing your boundaries. A lot of times we don't even communicate those boundaries. We don't even know our boundaries. We just know we feel really bad. Sadness is just an indication that you lost something or someone. Fear is a lack of ability to be yourself. Joy is an indication of peace. Fright is a lack of safety. So it's like your body communicates with you through emotions. Love is just an indication of joy, and acceptance is trust. So, do you trust life? Do you trust the world that you live in? And also from recall healing perspective, if you are wondering, um, the trust to the world is your relationship with your father, or the quality of relationship with your father, and the trust to life itself is the quality of the relationship you have with your mother. So ask yourself, do I trust my mother? Do I trust my father? And that's how you know whether or not you trust the world and trust the life itself. Because if you don't, then that's just living in anxiety, that's living in an uncertain future, and is just a recipe for a dysregulated nervous system. Been there, done that. Okay, this is something I really, really would like to concentrate on for a while. Core beliefs create your thinking. We get our core beliefs in childhood, we get them through observation of our environment. Core beliefs create your thinking. Thinking creates how you feel in your body. At all times, we feel at all times because we think at all times. And the feeling in your body either creates your healthy body or pain body. Pain body is a body that manifests disease, chronic disease, which is caused by how you feel. I know this is very hard to get a grip on because no medical doctor will ever explain to you the reasons for your diseases, and here you are. And that's how I know, because I was diagnosed with 9 autoimmune diseases 11 years ago. I am in full remission from all of them. And I found the reasons behind my disease. So again, core beliefs create your thinking. Thinking creates how we feel in the body because the cells respond. And the feeling creates either a healthy body or a pain body. Only you are responsible for your health. Now, where do we start to fix this process if we have any chronic diseases or our body is not where we want it to be? You have to know your core beliefs. That's where it starts. That's what was most transformational in my journey. I was in shock when I found out what my core beliefs were. And for this reason, I created Prison of Beliefs, Insight to Relationships program that is available only on my website, umlacademy.com. In this program is self-study program. It includes ebooks, master classes, questionnaires. It is a journey for you to discover what you really believe in. We all have beliefs. So we have beliefs about ourselves, women, men, relationships, life. Everybody believes something. I'll give you an example. If you were growing up and your mother or father or grandfather or grandmother would always say life is hard, it's just so hard. Something happens, life is hard. It might have become your belief. And now you go through life wanting things, having desires, and yet they don't manifest. You know what you want, but it's so hard to get what you want. So what does that mean? Maybe you believe that life is hard. And when you have this belief, you self-sabotage all the time. You don't even know it because it's on energetical level. And there were a lot of things that were said when I was growing up that became my beliefs, even the beliefs. I was in shock when I realized what I believe about women. And I'm a woman. So I was literally sabotaging myself. I was putting myself in an early grave because of my core beliefs. This is how important this is. So, this is why I created Prison of Beliefs, Insight into Relationships, because your relationship is your direct environment. So you want to make sure it's healthy and supportive and building and joyful. If not, go to umlacademy.com. Highly, highly recommended, guys. I've put everything I've learned into this program so that you can have a better awareness of what is going on. So again, remember, your beliefs create the way you think. If you ever observe your thoughts, you will know whether they're constructive and supportive or if they're destructive and just bad and they put you down. So the way we think creates how we feel in our body, and the way we feel responds to everything and manifests as a disease or a healthy body. So this is definitely something for you to consider. Now, I promised last week we're going to talk about biology of a cell. So we're going to get a little bit of scientific here. I do consider myself a scientist. I do so much research that, oh my goodness, but biology of a cell. So this is from a perspective of epigenetic and quantum field, of course, quantum physics, and more. There's more and more studies done in Western medicine world, because it is proven that every single cell in your body responds to the emotion you emit. Now, I want you to keep in mind that there are 30 to 40 trillion human cells in your body. On average, 25 to 37 trillion. I want you, can you imagine a trillion cells? I cannot. So we are this body, right? We are, in reality, we are cells. But because of the trick of a light, as Dr. Bruce Lipton calls it, the trick of a light, we perceive our reality. So you see me as a person, when as a solid being, when in reality, I'm just a clump of cells. Every one of those cells that you are made of has a conscience, has a receptors in it. Every single one of those cells. Now, whenever you feel a negative thought, and it's constant, it keeps on repeating itself. Like, you see yourself in the mirror and every day you say, I hate you. I hate the way I look. I just hate where I am right now. Nobody loves me. I'm just pathetic, right? Your brain, a part of your brain, releases a neuropeptide. That neuropeptide has a binding receptor, and it will literally go into every one of your cells. The cells also have receptors. You know, they need the receptors for vitamins, for minerals, for hydration, because they need to thrive. Our cells need to thrive. But instead, they receive the neuropeptides of the negativity that we feel, and they lose their ability to absorb minerals and vitamins, and they shrink. And the next cell that is being produced, or the dying, every cell in your body dies and is replaced. This is part of your metabolism. But the next cell already is being produced with that negative emotion. And it has been proven already that we do not die of old age, we die of malnutrition. And the biology of the cell is exactly what prevents us from hydrating our cells so they're nice and plump. Because they receive the emotion produced in the brain, again, produced by your core beliefs, into the way you think. Because you look in the mirror and you either think, oh, she looks nice, I like her. Or you say, oh my God, she has wrinkles and those huge pores and this and that. It all depends on how you feel. And then imagine doing the same thing every day. It influences your cells, your trillions of cells in your body. It influences it, and then your body begins to build itself, rebuild itself. In the last couple of months, I have noticed such a huge improvement in my skin's elasticity and just quality. It's like when I look at my body, I feel 20 again, because that's the last time I remember having such a nice, smooth skin. I was like, wow, what's happening? And it's in the last year that I've really started working on myself and started changing my perspective about who I am and finding who I was. I was highly influenced by the outside, which was very destructive for me. Yes. So my cells were dying. My cells were not regenerating. My pores were huge. I had acne. I had cellulite. I had sagging skin. My muscles were diminishing, even though I was exercising. But now I don't even have to exercise as much as I used to. My body just like responds to what I think of myself. And it knows that if I'm exercising, then I'm building muscles. Guys, this is like the magic of biology of a cell. There's so many books about it. But I want you to understand that the way you look is the way you think. Imagine that. Just imagine that everybody you see, the way they look is what they think of themselves. If you are afraid, constantly afraid, if that's one of your core beliefs, like let's say you were hurt or molested as a child by a man and you're a woman, and you developed an core belief that men are dangerous, being in a relationship is dangerous, men will hurt you, then your heart craves a relationship. It wants to be with someone, but the moment you get close to someone, you start gaining weight like crazy. And you don't know why. You didn't change your lifestyle, you didn't change the way you eat, but it's just you're just gaining weight. You develop diseases. What's happening? Well, your body is just responding to your core beliefs that you are unaware of. They're still there. The moment you find out what your core beliefs are, that's when you can start making different decisions. And our life today is every single decision you ever made in your life. Whether you're healthy or not, whether you're rich or poor, it doesn't matter where you are. This is accumulation of every single disease you made throughout your entire life. So I want you to make that trillion cells happy. As many cells as you have. We're going to talk about what we can do in order to improve our outlook, our perspective about who we are. Because guys, this is self-acceptance. Think about it now. Think about how important is self-acceptance. Without it, we're just generic nobodies. And we're meant to be extraordinary. We're meant to be very individual, kind people. I'm so happy you're here. And I'm happy I'm doing this because this is an absolutely fascinating subject. Any question on biology of a cell, please DM me on Instagram because I love to talk about it. I know I will talk about it more, but I want you to understand that where I first found out about this, there is a documentary on Gaia. It is called Down the Rabbit Hole. Everything is in there explained by a doctor from a biology perspective. This is the anatomy of your body. And it is much more than we are told. So I want you to rate yourself. I want you to think about it. And if you are not you, if you were observing yourself from a side, let's say, what number would you give yourself from 1 to 10? And then once you establish that, I want you to figure out in your head, what number would you date? Because, we women and men do the same thing. We rate ourselves. So what would be the lowest you could go? What would be the highest would you go higher than what you are? Is this number same as your own? Do you have high expectations or standards? Because a lot of times we are so preoccupied with watching everybody else, we do not pay attention to ourselves. And that's when we get lost. That's when blaming starts. That's when complaining starts. That's when we become somebody who we are not, because we do not have a healthy reflection of our own person. You can look in the mirror today and assess your body and determine what is needed. And write it down. Do I need to lose weight? Do I need to gain muscle tissue? Do I need to take care of my skin better? Do I have a bloated belly that I need to fix my intestines? By the way, there is a bloating video on my YouTube page if you're interested in that, how I fixed my bloating, because it will impact how you feel, of course. So assess what you need to do. And then ask yourself a question: what can you do today in order to get to where you want to be in the future? Ask constructive questions in order to refocus your attention. You are only as interesting as interests you have. What does that mean? It is very hard to accept ourselves if we are generic, if there is nothing special about us to ourselves. Again, think of that island. If I was on that island and I didn't have any books to read, I'd probably write those books in my mind. Still, I would have fun with myself, because it's what you think of yourself that makes you special. It gives you that energy. It gives you a purpose. If you are not interested in your own life, in your own health, in your own well-being, but you're in everybody's business all the time, oh, believe me, that's not a recipe to self-acceptance. That's looking for validation from the outside, and it's not a way to go. And I've met so many people on my journey who had no interests. And guys, watching Netflix is not an interest. Yes, I do it too. We all do, but it's not my passion. And I could totally live without it. So unless you have something that really is yours, that makes you happy, brings you joy, that you just lost yourself when you're doing it, that's how interesting you will be to other people. And believe me, inner joy is contagious. Being happy is contagious, because people will see that, oh, you emit different energy. You will also attract different people into your life based on whether or not you work on yourself. So think about it. What are your hobbies? What is it that you like to do? Perhaps in the last 20 years, you were so busy doing your job or being a mother, or preoccupied with something, you had no time for yourself. Well, this is the time. This is the time to create who you really are. So I want you to keep that in mind. What are your passions? Okay, so what do you like? How do we get to know ourselves? What are the steps? So let's start with defining yourself. And by defining yourself, find what you like about yourself. So write it down or think about it. What's your favorite color, favorite movie, favorite song, place, game, favorite clothes? I'm sure you have favorite clothes. We all have them. Favorite food, favorite activity, favorite sport, favorite animal, favorite person, brand, season, weather, time of the day, travel destination, anything you want to specify. By finding out what you like, what's your favorite, you automatically know what you don't like. And that starts a process of defining who we are. And it's a long process. And it's very hard to sit with ourselves, especially when we have a lot of trauma that are unresolved. We want to escape from spending too much time by ourselves. If you're one of those people who, when they're alone, they have to turn on the TV or music, or there has to be noise in the background, that may be you. What's uncomfortable about your thoughts that you don't want to sit with them? And again, remember, it starts with the core beliefs. So if you understand your core beliefs, you can understand that, okay, this belief is destructive. It doesn't serve me. I've learned it in the past. I've learned it as a child. I couldn't have learned anything else. But today, as a grown up, I choose a different belief. I make a different decision. I decide to see all the red flags and say no. Because right now, I know I am not validated by the outside. So it's a long journey, but it's a process. Standards are a reflection of you. And think of standards as your yes. What would you agree to, but being comfortable at the same time? And many of us don't have standards. Oh gosh, if I knew I could have standards when I was 20. My life would have looked different, but also I wouldn't learn everything I've learned throughout that time. So it's a win-win situation. And I've learned my standards, and they're pretty high because I expect a lot of myself and I give a lot. But with standards, you cannot expect to receive something you are not giving. So if you are healthy, that's my standards. I am healthy and I expect my partner to be healthy. I will not accept anything below my standard. I am not looking to be a nurse. I am not looking to help someone get better, because that's my client, that's not my partner. So this is my standard. Also, I take care of my body, and my standard is that my partner has to take care of their body. He just has to. There's no other way. I do not find obesity attractive. I know there's an emotional reason behind it. And so this is my standard. But this is also what I am offering. I read books, I evolve, I grow. I expect the same thing from my partner, nothing less. This is my standard. But it's exactly what I'm giving. If you are obese, but you are looking for a partner who's super fit with a six pack and muscles, that's unrealistic, because you can only receive what you're giving. And if your lifestyle is crappy and you sit on a couch all day and you eat chips, and you don't take care of yourself, but yet you fantasize about having this beautiful person next to you, well, you have to give what you want first. This is the trick to standards. So our standards are high only when we are expecting something that we're not giving. So I don't know if you can hear my cat. And then we're going to boundaries. So a boundary is your no. Standard is your yes. A boundary is your no. So boundaries are excellent for your personal safety. There are symptoms of no boundaries, which is dysregulated nervous system. And this is something that happened to me. And also taking everything personally, being offended all the time. That's a no boundary sign. Weight gain or insomnia. Those are just some examples of lack of boundaries. I also had severe panic attacks when I had no boundaries. And because I was surrounded by many toxic people in my life, I had to set very strict boundaries, very strict, for my safety, for my well-being. And I didn't ask for things that are unrealistic. I asked for kindness, support. I communicated that I will not tolerate criticism anymore, or being used anymore. That's very realistic. And then the boundaries are really for me, because if I am in a toxic environment and someone crosses my boundary, I just leave. That person just lost access to me. And my safety is well kept, because my boundary is a decision. You cannot cross it, because I made a decision that I only go where I feel safe, welcome, and supported. I choose. I have the power to choose, and so do you. We choose who we surround ourselves with. And we know how we feel next to that person. We know. If you're drained, if you're afraid, if your nervous system becomes stuck, if you become someone you are not. We know. So boundaries are up to you. And then, they can, lack of boundaries can create a lot of fear, and we are afraid to fall asleep. And also it messes up our hormones. It's a whole process. So patience. Can you love all the bad in your life? And why do I talk about this? Because it is easy. It is so easy to love yourself when you are financially wealthy, when you're healthy, when you're in love, and when you have love. It's so easy. But notice what happens when something doesn't go our way. You lose a job, you get divorced, you get a diagnosis, you feel horrible, you gain weight. We don't love those. We actually reject those. We resist those thoughts, those acts, those that whatever negative is happening, we resist it. We do not accept it. So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you do not look like your perfect vision of your divine plan in your mind, can you love that? Can you love what do you see? Even if you have $2 in your bank account, can you still love yourself and your situation? Can you understand that your situation teaches you a lesson? Perhaps it's a lesson of trust, because divine timing is everything. And things happen for us when we make a decision who we are, when we get closer to that divine plan that every single one of us has. Can we love all the bad in our lives? Because guess what? Nothing is permanent. Nothing. Everything will pass. The way you look, your body, everything will pass. The good will pass and the bad will pass. And guess what? It doesn't really matter. So can we not stress about the bad and love it just as we love the good things that happen to us? It is so easy to love your child when they are well behaved and bring all A's. Can you do the same for a child who misbehaves and struggles at school? Because that's a lesson. Because do you love them for who they are or what they do? I bet you didn't know about this perspective. And this is a wonderful perspective, because I've been through a lot of challenges this year and I felt like I'm giving up so many times. But in reality, it wasn't giving up, but loving the situation helped me overcome the situation. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Surrender, but don't give up. So surrender is a bit different than giving up. When you surrender, you allow the life to be. This is an ancient art of Wu Wei, non-doing, which my meditation teacher tried to teach me for so many years, but I just recently understood the whole point behind it. When we resist life, and it doesn't matter what you do, it could be even with your thoughts. Something happens that you don't like and you voice it in your head. You say, oh, I don't like that. How horrible. You resist it. Your energy then resists the situation. You do when there's resistance, there's no acceptance. You can only accept that which you surrender to. Can you surrender to the way you look, your financial situation, and your love life right now? Can you say, I accept where I am? I understand that there's a lesson behind everything, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to be the best version of me so that I can give love and receive love. And I will always work on being the healthiest version of me, because I deserve it. My children deserve it. Everybody deserves it. So it is up to you what you're going to do. Giving up means you no longer want to carry on, but you do. It's just a mindset of understanding what we talked about very beginning. Everything happens for a reason. It's a perspective. It's a perspective that makes life much easier. When I learned it, my life changed because I was stressing so hard, being a perfectionist and things have to go my way. If they don't, then, I'm so unsatisfied. I cannot accept who I become. It's very easy to lose our way. I've read many books, and I'm going to recommend to you many books to get to this wonderful place, because you need information. Only with the information can we make different decisions. But theory is not everything. Do not get lost within it. There was time in my life when I depended on a theory without the action, and it just didn't work. So let's continue and see what we got. There it is, education. See, I already knew that it's coming up. So those are the books that really changed my perspective to get me to where I am, to get me to accept no matter what happens to me, guys. It doesn't matter. Right now, it doesn't matter if I gain weight, lose weight, if I become bald, if something like, I accept me. And my love bucket is overflowing. And I have so much to share. And guys, this is the most beautiful part of self acceptance, especially when you're a parent, when you're a mother like me, and you always have the extra energy to share with your children. That's priceless. Nothing will ever compare to that. So, the books that really made an impact: Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. This year, I read in January Anita Morjani, Dying to Be Me. I cannot recommend this book enough. It literally, this is the book. I get chills when I talk about it. This is the book that, for the first time, made me realize that I don't have to do anything to deserve love. Because I was so conditioned to deserve love. I have to do something to be loved. And Anita explained it to me. And that was when, for the first time, I was able to love myself just for who I am. And it was huge. I mean, think about it. I was raised in Poland, in communist Poland, where there was completely no emotions, and everybody was doing the same thing. And there was like every like, I feel like every child there was neglected, and it's not on purpose. Of course, that was the culture. But I see it everywhere, how we feel we need to do a certain thing to deserve love and acceptance and a place in this world. And guess what? The godlike energy of creation, it will always love you no matter what. No matter what you do. And this is the beauty of it. So this book, highly, highly recommended. Abraham Hicks, Ask and It Is Given. Again, this book explained to me how we contradict our own thoughts and how we cannot manifest what we want in life. Because your mind cannot hold two contradictory thoughts or beliefs at the same time. You either believe in health or in disease. You cannot believe in both at the same time. You can know they exist, but you cannot believe in them. So what do you believe in? Do you believe in health or in disease? And same thing with the thought. You think you want to look great, but you look in the mirror and you see all the flaws. And guess what? You cannot have two contradictory thoughts at the same time. So this book explained it all to me. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Self-explanatory. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Now, for everybody who is struggling with self-love, self-acceptance, self-worth, I highly recommend reading Susan Forward, Toxic Parents. A lot of times we come from toxic families, and it's so normal to us that we do not know it's a dysfunction. And she talks about all kinds of parents and how their behavior affects the children. To me, it was like, I didn't know silent treatment was abuse. I was abused all my childhood because I was underput silent treatment almost daily. So this book really explained to me the dynamic that I came from. And with the knowledge, I could fix it. I could fix the way I think today. Now, next, Don Miguel Ruiz, Four Agreements. All of his books, guys, the perspective that he is teaching is amazing. The Mastery of Love, amazing. It explains to you exactly what love is. Wonderful, wonderful perspective. Mark Wallen, It Didn't Start With You. Great perspective as well. Colin Tipping's Radical Forgiveness. This book teaches you all about the lessons that we came here to learn. Bruce Lipton, The Honeymoon Effect, all about the biology of the cell. And of course, Gina David, Audacity to Be Queen. This is for the ladies here who would like to learn more about our role and who we really are. And her perspective is just, she's my muse. She's one of my mentors. I absolutely love her. So this is something for you. If you want to take a screenshot of both of them, or you can always go back here if you find something that is interesting to you. All of those books are wonderful and give you a wonderful perspective and allow you to learn. And I had so many eureka moments. I was in awe reading them just because the whole system of my beliefs was crumbling when I was reading them. So what can you do today in order to fix your tomorrow? Be present. I want you to keep in mind, if I can teach you one thing in this webinar for self-acceptance, is The past doesn't exist anymore, nor the future. Past exists only in your imagination and also the future because it's your fantasy. But in reality, there is no past and no future. And this is where Eckhart Tolle comes in and talks about the ego. Only here exists, here and now. Only here and now miracles can happen. Only here and now healing can happen. But it's hard and it requires a lot of presence. So Eckhart Tolle explains that the ego is fed by the past. If we still operate on the core beliefs from the past, I was so deeply hurt. Why did this happen to me? Why was I this or that? And we feel sorry for ourselves. We fill ourselves with sadness, and that's where depression comes from. On the other hand, if we continue to live in a daydream instead of here and now, we create this fantasy that is uncertain. So it brings us anxiety. So we don't feel safe in the here and now because we send our mind either to the past or the future. Where is your mind? Only with breath, with awareness, can we be fully present. If you would like to start meditating, there's a free meditation I offer on my website, umlacademy.com. It's very fast. I think it's 8 minutes, where you just learn the very first Qigong technique, which helps you become aware. It's just the first step. So I highly encourage you to go and see that. We cannot accept ourselves if we are in the past or in the future, because we only exist right now. So the self-acceptance comes from right now. I will not accept myself when I lose the weight, when I gain the muscle, when I get that dream job, when I find the love of my life. That doesn't exist. I exist right now. And it's up to me if I love the way I am right now, because I cannot love myself in the future if I don't love myself right now. So highly recommend checking out Eckhart Tolle's book. Also, blaming game versus understanding game. Whatever happened to us in the past, it doesn't matter, and you do not need to go back there to heal because you make a decision of who you are right now. So if you had a difficult childhood like me, I understand why everything happened to me the way it did. I understand. And because I understand, I cannot blame. How can I blame when I know everything happened for my greater good? No matter how devastating it was at the time, no matter how horrible it is for people from the outside, doesn't matter. I am here right now, my flesh and bones and my soul. And I know for a fact that everything that happened to me was for my greater good. Nothing bad happens that doesn't turn out to be for your greater good. But that only can happen if you know your lessons behind it. I want you to keep that in mind. And the things that lower your vibration. So I want you to be aware of those things. Complaining, which is very automatic, and it's a pattern of thinking which comes from your core beliefs. So if you're not aware of your core beliefs, you will keep on repeating it. Even if you want to change your pattern of thinking, it will be very difficult. Lack of knowledge. So educate yourself. That's always a good one. Waiting to be rescued. I'm sorry to break it to you. Nobody's coming. You are going to rescue you. You are the person you are always waiting for. You are the love of your life. Lack of movement. Guys, we live in societies that are just, we all sit. We all do. I do too. That's why movement is so imperative. Any form but movement. Being in good shape helps your energy. Lack of interest in your health. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the people that are most sick are the ones who do not take any interest in their health. That is just how it is. Take interest in your health. Be interested in what is happening in your body. Research, read, ask questions, and then contradictions in thoughts. Because if I want one thing, but if I think of I'll give you an example. I want $1 million, but I keep on thinking, well, I don't have $1 million. So I really, my thoughts are concentrating on the lack. So how can I manifest something that I want if I continue to focus on the lack? and this is where Abraham Hicks and the teachings come in very, very handy. What helps? Redirect your focus to change your state. We all emit energy signature at all times. So all of the trillions of cells, they read how you feel, right? And it creates a frequency that we all have. It's called the biofield. We attract what we are, not what we want. So if you met someone and things are starting to hit off, guess what? That is exactly your match energetically. And also, they're on the same emotional level as you. What helps to redirect your focus in order to change your state, to change how you feel emotionally? Questions. I love questions. So those are the questions that Tony Robbins taught me. And this is what I journal about every day. And this really helped me redirect my focus so that I don't concentrate on the negativity. Why is this happening to me? Why doesn't anybody want me? Why can't I get my big break? You know, there's so many things that we can concentrate on that are just not productive for us. So instead, I ask myself every day, what am I thankful for? Even if it's just the air you breathe in, be thankful for it. What am I proud of? I'm sure there's at least one thing that you did that you are proud of. You stood up for yourself. You were nice to yourself. You did something for yourself that gave you that feeling that, oh, I'm proud of it. What makes me happy? What am I excited for? That's a big one, because if there's nothing that you are excited for, guess what? You need to change your priorities. We always need to be excited for something, even if it's just see the sun the next day. And I'm always excited for the sun. Guys, it's the little things. It's the little things that make the big whole. And I always post this, and you guys know it, this quote by Florence Scovel Shun. I look with wonder at that which is before me, and then the wonders just come to me. What is good in this situation? So this is important. This is what I want you to understand. Something bad happens. Something doesn't go your way. Someone ghosts you. Someone breaks up with you. You don't get enough money. Always ask the first question, what is good in this situation? Now, because you are not used to this question, your mind will say, nothing. There's absolutely nothing. You're worthless. You're just horrible. Ask again. Ask until you get an answer that you're looking for. We can only get the answers. We can only ask a question that our brain already has an answer to. But only those people find good in their lives who are looking for the good. Most of us are looking for misery. Most of us are looking for drama. So change your focus. Look for the good in your life. Start with the tiny things. For me, it was the sun is up. Even if I don't see it, I know it's there. And then you build up from that momentum. Remember those 5 questions? If you make it into your daily journal practice, it will really help you refocus and get your energy back into yourself. Now, I want you to make a decision. If you do not define yourself, the world will. If you are not a person that you decide to be, because it's a decision. I decide who I am at all times. My decision became a conviction. It became a final judgment, and then it turned into a belief. I know who I am. The world cannot define me because I define myself. I make a decision to be a good person, to be a good mother, to be the best version of myself, to help people. This is all my decision, and I'm sticking to it. And this is what really helps me find new perspective. I always look for good in life, and I always find it, guys, because that's what I focus on. What you concentrate on will grow. So to find your self-acceptance, concentrate on the best qualities that you have, and you do have them. Just look for them. If you never thought of them, and of course it will be difficult at the very beginning, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep on asking the questions. What is good about this situation? And I know it's hard. Like, you'll think, oh, I got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. How can I ask that? Well, that's something you train your mind to do. There is no mistakes, no accidents, no coincidences. This world has been designed perfectly So it is up to you to refocus your mind. And I know you want that change. So I know this is something that will really help you. So your reflection is everywhere, in your partners, in your children, in everyday situations. You literally look at the mirror. The life is a mirror. We everything is mirrored to us. Whatever you're surrounded by, it's a mirror. It reflects your vibration. How to change that vibration? Look in the mirror and say, I love you. I'm very proud of you. I know at first you will not believe it and it will be difficult, but believe me, if you are not good to yourself, nobody else will. Other people can respect you only as much as you respect yourself. And it has to start somewhere. Do not depend on outside forces. Do not depend on your partners, parents, children. Support yourself first and foremost. Okay, and I want to share some quotes from Louise Hay with you because she is a true inspiration of mine. And of course, I also recommend her books. So she said that I do not fix problems, I fix my thinking. Then problems fix themselves. If you accept a limiting belief, then it will become a truth of you. It's only a thought, and the thought can be changed. Life is really simple. We give out, we get back. So basically, you get what you give. And then I want to share with you quotes from John Randall Price. Again, I recommend all of his books, quite amazing. So he says, now look at the people in your life and know that it's your consciousness in the projection mode that's attracting or repelling them. No one has done or is doing anything to you. The people in your life are all neutral, but will play out an experience for you in direct accordance with the tone and pitch you're playing in consciousness. They're simply showing you what you're projecting on them. So there's nothing to forgive them for. You have the power to be well or sick, or rich or poor, to succeed or fail, and to live in harmony or conflict. It all starts with you. What helped me the most? So, identifying and understanding my core beliefs, which I share with you in my Prison of Beliefs program, recall healing and meditation, books, workshops, retreats, investing in myself, talking to friends, getting outside the comfort zone, and realizing the truth that it's me. I was repelling the people I wanted, and I was attracting the people that I didn't want because it was all my unconscious beliefs that I just wasn't aware of. It all changed once I became aware of it. But was I offended? Oh, yes. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that. Oh my God, there's no one to blame. It's me. I cannot put a finger on anybody but myself. That was just a crazy discovery for me. So let's talk a little bit. I know it's past an hour. Let's talk a little bit about shadow part and the sun part, yin and yang, because you cannot accept yourself or just the good parts of yourself. It's impossible. We are all good and bad. We're supposed to be, because this is how we learn. You choose who you want to be, what you want to do. I choose to be a good person. If I am ever bad, I always ask for feedback. Please tell me if I'm doing something wrong so I can fix it, because I am sure I'm not doing this consciously. It is never my intention to hurt anyone or to be mean, but sometimes the old programs return and I would like to be conscious of them. So please tell me. But I accept that I have the good and I have the bad. I have the ability to be super good, and I do have ability to hurt people as well. I am not ashamed to admit it because it's part of my upbringing. It's how I got to where I am right now. So I am not loving just the good parts of me and then everything else I don't accept. That's not how self-acceptance work, okay? If you accept yourself as a whole, everything. Also the bad parts. So if you overeat, if you have a habit of talking about people behind their backs, if you smoke cigarettes, if you abuse alcohol, anything that is bad about you, you also have to accept. Now, I'm not saying that I encourage it or that you shouldn't work on it, but you have to accept it. That's the self-acceptance. We all have yin and yang. We all came here for different lessons and reasons. So I want you to keep that in mind. Thank you. We got through it. Well, it took me a little bit longer than I expected. So find me on Instagram. If you don't already follow me, Universal Mama Lena Academy. Visit umlacademy.com. I have wonderful masterclasses, programs, and ebooks available for you. Ask questions. And just for your knowledge, if you do not have it within you yet today, I accept you. I accept you the way you are. Doesn't matter to me what you did. You exist. Thus, you are accepted. That's all that there is to it. Thank you so much, my friends. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next webinar.